once you're inside an organization, you have to ask yourself, well, how do I want to be perceived? Do I want to be perceived as just someone who's going to float through here? Do I want them to see me as someone who cares, who wants to climb the ladder, who wants to achieve? And these are things that you as a young person or someone coming to a new organization need to be thinking about. All of that is actually achieved non-verbally. It's achieved by your work ethic. It's achieved by how early you get there, when you leave, how long your lunch breaks, how many times people see you out by the water cooler just taking your time, even who you associate with. One of the things that's kind of interesting that we've learned is how often a new employee, hardworking, hard-charging, comes to an organization, and who are they befriended by? They're befriended by individuals who really don't have much to do, and it actually acts as a detractor. And why is it that they're not hanging around with other people who are also, very active and are occupied? Because they're busy. Those people are so busy they don't have time to socialize. So the new employee ends up being derailed by these friendships that they make with individuals who already have a bad reputation for taking too much time, not being productive, and just being too verbose. So that's one of the things that you want to evaluate early on is how much time am I devoting to my work and how much time am I devoting to socializing in the office. And don't ever think that people aren't paying attention. Whatever happens in the office, everybody knows everything. So you want to be careful with who you associate with in the office, and you want to be careful with how you're perceived, because this will affect what other people think of you. And this is important because other people will be making significant, will have significant influence in your career and will be based on your performance. Now, I've mentioned that we need to be careful about the people we associate with, that they don't take too much of our time, or that others don't see us as, oh, this individual tends to hang out with losers, or this individual tends to hang out with those who are habitually complaining. Which brings me also to this point, and that is office gossip. I've participated in it. Many of you have participated in it. It's something that really needs to be avoided. First of all, a lot of times we don't have the right information. And second of all, and it's unfortunate, oftentimes people are hurt by it. It can be destructive to an organization. It's something that we really shouldn't do. And one of the easiest things to do is just to walk away from it, or to tell other people, look, I'm really not interested in that, or that's not right, or that's not fair, or please don't send these things to me. Especially nowadays where a lot of the gossip is taking place online. These are the kinds of things that later show up in a discovery hearing in a civil case, and you can actually be sued for the kinds of things that you're saying. So I always tell people, avoid it. In business, there's no place for it. It can only do harm. It rarely does any good. We've talked about what men should wear for work, and obviously depending on the organization you're working in, maybe jeans and a polo shirt or a sports shirt, a suit, with a tie or an open collar. It really depends on the organization and what best fits in. Obviously, you want to mirror that organization. But what about women? How should women dress for work? Well, it's no different for the new employee. You want to look at how people in that organization dress. And obviously, one of the best and easiest ways to do it is see it as they arrive and as they leave each day. And you get a sense of what kind of clothes that they wear. But above and beyond that, I can share with you some of the research that's out there on clothing, which I think is very significant, and it applies more so to women than men. And that is that at work, in a business setting, women should not wear too much perfume. They should not wear too much makeup. They should not wear too much jewelry, and they certainly should not show so much cleavage, which actually becomes a distraction. The other thing that the other employees and your bosses and other personnel will not be appreciative of is clothing where the skirts are too short and or open-heeled shoes. We have done research both in the private sector and with juries, and we find repeatedly that these are things that really are not well considered, and that literally turn a lot of people off when they see a woman who's supposed to be an executive or a junior executive, and the skirt is too short, or the dress is too low, or they're wearing open-toe shoes, or there's just so much perfume on them that it can be smelled from several rows back. Now, some of you may be saying, well, you know, it shouldn't affect anybody wrongly. I choose to dress this way. The fact of the matter is that it does affect them, and there's really not much that you can do about it. And one of the things that we want to do is be perceived well. The benefit is not for us. The benefit is for them. So we've talked about your personal appearance. You don't want to wear outrageous clothing. You don't want to do anything in your behavior that detracts from the overall mission of the organization. You also need to think about your own personal space, the kind of pictures that you put up, how you keep your desk, and so forth. It doesn't really matter how your house looks, your apartment, your room looks at home, but it does matter at work. Because at work, you're actually in somebody else's property, and you have to respect that. You have to be respectful of other people. So you cannot have pictures of your girlfriend or your boyfriend in a bikini or in a bathing suit. You can't have Playboy pictures or pictures of scantily clad individuals there. And your desk should be in some form of order. So that it looks clean, that it looks neat. Just remember, at the end of the day, someone's going to come through that office and clean that area. You want to make it easier for them. And you also want to demonstrate that there is order in your life, that you are considerate for your own space, but that space you recognize belongs to somebody else. And all these things accumulate. All these things, how your desk looks, how you look, how you present, the etiquette that you use when addressing others, yes sir, no ma'am, and so forth. These are putting points on this big scoreboard. And at the end of the day, people are going to be looking at that scoreboard and saying, you know, we really like this fellow, or we really like this young lady. And the reason we like her is because of these reasons. And at the end of the day, what you're going to realize is that the majority of those reasons are actually nonverbals. Anytime we go to work, we actually put on a persona. This is our work persona. This is the outer coating, this outer patina that we represent to the world. This isn't how we act when we're at the beach. This isn't how we act when we're with our parents and so forth. And you know, the question that's sometimes asked is, well, aren't we being false? Not really, because our jobs, our careers demand that we put on this face, because this face represents the organization. And as we go about our duties day to day, we may have to change how we look. If we're having an after-hours meeting, we certainly don't need to behave in the same way as if we're meeting during work hours and we're meeting with a client. Now, that doesn't mean our behaviors change totally. That means that we can afford to maybe joke around after hours more, or we can be a little bit more relaxed after hours, that our language can be tempered to the environment. But most certainly, when we are in that work environment, whether we're on the phone or we're talking to individuals directly, we have to remember, we represent an organization. We were hired not to be ourselves, but to represent this company. And how they want that performance will in fact be part and parcel of the organization and what it's trying to achieve. And so to that end, yes, we have to have this professional persona, because it's important for achieving that which we were hired to do.